circle back with another one. So let's just jump into pricing right away. I know we
Mhm.
don't have to make this too long for guys because I think guys kind of get the idea too. But I think we're going to bring up some interesting points today in terms of some of the misconceptions around pricing, but at the same time, things that you can do, at least from what we've seen, that work successfully. I know you had just a point that you just made, so I'll let you kind of kick it off again.
Yeah. I know pricing is a hot, a very debated topic in
Yeah.
the industry, especially because everybody wants to charge $50 plus for their haircut and say that they charge $100 and that they're all booked out and all this stuff. But from, and this doesn't matter if you're a barbershop owner or if you're a barber, but you have to raise your standard before you can raise your prices. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're fresh out of barber school, or you're a barbershop owner and everybody charges 35, $40 for a cut. If your customer service standard, if your skill standard isn't at like $60 and people feel like they're getting a deal, if you raise your prices, you will lose clients and you will lose a lot of them. And so what I mentioned in the last episode, where a lot of barbers have an ego and kind of feel like they're doing people a favor and they don't focus on customer service. Like, if someone's coming in to pay you $50 plus for a haircut and you have bad customer service, they will not come back. You have to understand, like, everything is more expensive now. I'm not talking about in the barbershop. I'm talking everything is more expensive now. So raising your prices is okay because it's tracking with kind of the overall economy. But at the same time, if you treat people like shit, they won't come back. And you're going to lose a lot of clients. And so that's one thing I want people to have in their minds while we have this conversation, or when they're even thinking about, their current pricing and wanting to increase, is if your standard is not at least $15 to $30 more than what you're currently charging, you're going to have a huge problem when you actually increase your prices. So that's kind of just the foundation of the conversation of, like, hey, pricing is not just equated to your skill level. It's also how you treat people. It's also the experience they have in the barbershop, right? Like, do they have to wait a long time? Do you offer them a complimentary beverage? Are you, like, on your phone when they walk in? Are you only having a conversation with another barber and not paying attention to the person in the chair? These are a lot of things that go into pricing when everybody thinks it's just about your skill level. Because I'll say it today and I'll say it till I die. You can get a great haircut anywhere. If you can give a great haircut, you are not special. And that's not me trying to make you feel bad, but that's not what makes barbers and barbershops special. That's not what makes them money. So that's the kind of first point. The other point that really sticks out to me, and this will be a little bit of a tangent, I think, but as a barbershop owner, if you have barbers, and I know it's tough if you have a booth rent shop, it's tough to dictate what people charge for their cuts. I get that. But if you have, Barber A is charging 35 for his cuts, Barber B is charging 50, and then Barber C is charging 75. That's a really difficult business to grow. Because one thing that we say is, as a barbershop owner, if you want to be in more control of the clientele that comes into your shop and not your barbers, the skill level has to be the same across the board because they have to know what they're going to expect. On the flip side of that, the prices have to be the same across the board, because if someone, like, let's say someone's barber is on vacation or gets sick and they need a cut, so they book with somebody else. If they go in expecting a $35 cut and it's now 60, that's a really big problem. And I'm not saying it's not a $60 cut. I'm saying it's the client's expectation of what's going to happen. And that's on you. So those are the two things. If you're a barbershop owner, you really have to think about that because that plays a huge role in things. But for barbers, barbershop owners, whoever, you need a high standard before you can raise your prices. And I know people on social media love to say that they charge $100 for a cut. I know they love to spout off all of these numbers. And it's like, okay, cool. But at the same time, a lot of your pricing is just dependent on how much time you're spending with people. So we know barbershops that they do 1 hour appointment blocks. I don't think that's smart. I think you should have 30-minute appointment blocks. If something's going to take over 30 minutes, just book for a second block. It's fine, whatever. And the price goes up. But you should be basing it off how much time you're spending and not what you think your skill level is worth.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think too, the problem that guys run into is trying to compete in the market, at least from what we've seen from shop owners,
Big
is
time.
trying to play that lowest price game.
Ooh, dangerous game to play.
You know, and I know we've touched on when you charge the lowest prices, you have a particular clientele, so I'm not going to take it there. What I'm going to mention is, do you think that the other shops that you're competing with who are charging more than you because you want to charge, let's just say it's $25 or $30, right? And you're like, we have the lowest price cuts or the second lowest price, right? If that's the mindset you're going into, right, and you're trying to compete in the market and you're going strictly based off of lowest price, why is the shops that are charging $40, $50, why are they not having that problem? So now you're just undercutting prices on, frankly, a market that you're trying to quote unquote compete in, but the other guys that are charging $40, $50 are not having this problem, or they're not attacking this problem the way that you're trying to attack it by cutting basically gross revenue potential, I should say, right?
Yeah.
That's at least a big problem that I see as guys immediately run to. We don't have traffic. We are slow. So we need to charge dirt low prices for, ongoing, essentially, which is even worse. We're not saying to never charge a cheaper rate. We've talked about that in length, using it strategically. I think that was a couple episodes back. But I think to strictly play the game on we are going to charge the lowest prices, it hinders your growth. And then when you go to try to raise your prices, obviously we've mentioned it with the customer base, you've gotten them used to a particular price, so you're inevitably going to lose customers. But at the same time, you can't go from $25 to $50. You have to now do price increases in essentially $5 increments. And you can't just do it like every 3 months or every 90 days. We're going to $5 extra, right? That's a little bit aggressive. This is now going to be a slow, drawn out process. If you want to get to 50 and you're at 25, think about by $5 increments. Let's just call it every 6 months, let's say. A little bit aggressive still, right? How long is it going to take? A few years just for you to get to $50?
Yeah.
Like, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Just to get to like mid in the market. And then, oh my Lord, bro, I just can't. I can't.
Unless every single barber in your shop is charging $100 for a haircut, your traffic problem is not dictated by your price. And it's funny that you mentioned that because we posted a video. It's probably 2 weeks back from when this drops, talking about why you have a traffic problem. It's not because of your prices. And so that's a big thing, right? And like Kaleb mentioned, we talked about it in one of our earlier episodes. But if you think that, or if you do cut your prices because you want more people to come in, that's the fastest way to the bottom. Point blank, period. Because the type of people that come in for a $25 haircut or a $20 haircut or a $15 haircut, whatever it is, some crazy low price, they're only going there because of the price. Whereas the people that come in and pay for a $50, $60, $75, $100 haircut, not only do they have more money that they could spend, but those are the types of clients that purchase products, that purchase merch, that buy the upsells. So you're hurting yourself in two ways. One, because you're cutting your prices to bring in more traffic, but you're just cutting your gross revenue because your traffic is not going to increase based off a price decrease. Because a lot of new clients think, oh, why do they only charge $30 when everybody else charges 50, for example? Like we have a client that was in like downtown Minneapolis, major metro area. The market price, the going price for a haircut was $50. If you charged under that, people would look at you a little funky. Like, why are they only charging $30? So
Well, it's a contradicting statement,
yeah,
right? If you're gonna try to claim that you have the best haircuts in the state, best haircuts in the city,
but
they
but
best.
you have the cheapest cuts. There's a problem.
It's like it's a contradicting statement. And I know we're laughing about it, but it is kind of a comedy that you try to coin those two terms as the best with also the cheapest, because as you know, the best is in whatever you're trying to
Never the
buy
cheapest.
is absolutely never the cheapest. The best quality, the best, if it's a product, the best durability, reliability, longevity. It's always one of the more expensive options.
And that is not to say if you want to say that you have the best cuts to charge the most. Don't do that.
Yeah, no
Don't do
facts.
that. Don't do that. So there's kind of two schools of thought, and it's based off how long you've been in the industry. Because as we've mentioned, and as I'm sure you guys know, barbering is expected to be the fastest growing industry over the next 10 years. So there's a lot of old heads who will only charge a certain price for a haircut and kind of shit on people if they charge more than that. Because it's like, I've been a barber for 15 years and I only charge $40. Don't take everything that they say completely to heart. Because, as I mentioned, experience plays a huge role in how much you're charging. Like, not your experience, but the experience that the client has when they're in the chair. So keep that in mind. But also, if you are 3 years out of barber school, if you're a barbershop owner and you have a lot of young barbers who are still fresh in the game, they should not be charging $75 for a haircut. They just shouldn't be. And I'm going to be honest, there's only a few markets in this country, and I shouldn't say handful, a small percentage of barbershops who have the client experience to be worthy of a $60 plus haircut. Now, granted,
I like that word, worthy.
there's a lot of barbershops who make money on $60 haircuts. So people are going to say, Owen, what are you talking about? I'm in X city. I'm not in Atlanta, Houston, New York, LA that are charging $60 for a cut and they have full books. I understand that. They're either one of the shops that are worthy or they have a collection of the best barbers in the city. Point blank, period. And so they're dominating market share, so they get to set the market. That's the thing. Unless you are a market setter, you're following what the market is kind of dictating. So and just to be completely frank, we're not going to tell you what to charge here because we don't know what city you're in. We don't know what barbers you have. We don't know what your client experience is. So we're not going to tell you because there's not one best price to charge. There isn't.
Yeah.
It's
Just understanding that getting above $40, now you get into experience game. I
Mm.
want to put that out
Yeah,
there
that's a good
that
point.
we are not going to tell you what to charge, but what we will tell you is that at a certain price point, I'd say either $40 or $50. I would say 40. As soon as you increase above 40, I think everything after 40, especially after $50, comes out in experience
Yeah.
because no matter what, you are not getting a different, like the lines and the beard trims and stuff like that. None of that, the fade, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
The experience is what, and I think that's what guys are missing is that they think that their cut alone is worth $45. It's not your cut. After $40, it has nothing to do with your cut, honestly. It really doesn't. It's strictly on the experience.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Great Clips charges $20 for their haircuts.
It's not experience.
It's not an experience. They're trying to churn people. Like, I get a 1 on the side, 2 on top. That's it. It takes 4 minutes. They're trying to churn people through as fast as possible. So, raise your standard. Focus on your client experience. Where you can really help yourself with your pricing is breaking things out individually and upselling. So instead of it being, let's say you have a $40 haircut and it's $55 with a beard trim, right? Instead of having that as like a package, break out everything individually, and then you're now upselling your clients. There's 2 reasons why you want to do that. The first is if you can do that over an extended period of time and people are purchasing them, you now have a much higher level of client than you would have if you didn't. So that's one thing where it's like, okay, now you have people who are willing to spend more than the minimum. Great. Other reason why you want to do that is because it shows that your time is valuable and your services are valuable, right? So being able to upsell is a very powerful tool, very powerful. And that goes, so anything that you're doing now other than a haircut probably should be upsold. I'm not saying to upsell like your complimentary beverages that you're giving to people. But if you do a hot towel, right? If you do like the massage roller things that you put on your hands, the beard trims, every type of service that you have should be an additional option that they can add on in their booking. I'm not saying when they're in the chair, because you don't want to upsell for the most part when you're in the chair, because you're wasting time. So when we were talking about kind of like not having 1 hour blocks for your appointments, that means you can get more clients in, but also if you have it set up in your booking platform where they can add on everything they want, now you know exactly how long things are going to take, instead of someone sitting in your chair for an hour appointment and they only get a haircut and the haircut takes 25 minutes. So now you're sitting around wasting time. And granted, some people might be like, oh, well, I'm a $75 an hour barber because I charge $75 a cut. When if they were charging $50 and doing 30-minute appointment blocks, that's now $100 an hour. So having shorter time blocks, and I'm not saying to rush it. Obviously, don't do 15 minutes. It's not a barber battle. But having a 30-minute appointment block and having add-on services only in the booking, you're not upselling any service in the chair. You should be upselling merchant products in the chair, but taking services out of it, then you actually have control over how much money you make. Versus the guy that charges $75 for an hour block, and if you don't get a beard trim, they're kind of sitting around wasting time waiting for their next appointment. Which, if that's what you want to do that. I don't give a shit. But if you want to maximize the amount of money you can make every single day, that's the way you do it. You have to be
that's a really good point.
very strategic with your pricing model.
Yeah. And I was just doing some quick math too. By doing that, where you can add, I basically went off of 150 cuts a month. So it's like roughly, I think like 5 or 6 a day, 6 days a week or something like that, right? Let's just say 150 is the number as far as cuts per month. If you can add an additional $7 to that, you just added an additional $1,000 to your pocket in a 30-day window. And that's on a monthly basis, right? So if you're able to just add
cuts, which is nothing.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6. Yeah. Yeah. And it's $7. That's not to mention, again, if those extra services, by piecing those out and pricing those on top, if you can add an additional $10, an additional $15, right? An additional $20. Right? So, and I use 7 because it's so minuscule. So guys can understand that just adding an additional $7 maybe it's extra services or whatever the case might be, a slight increase in your cut price. Now you're able to generate an extra $1,000 a month. And I know for a lot of guys, some guys really like nicer things. So just to put that into perspective, that's honestly the car payment or the lease payment on a brand new Mercedes, a brand new BMW.
Yeah, bro.
Like
$12,000 a year makes a big difference. That's a Rolex.
Yeah.
You can buy a Rolex for 10.
Literally. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that we're talking about very, very minor changes that can really make an impactful difference, because the thing is not, oh, I'm going to make an extra $7 off of this one haircut here, and I'm going to make an additional 15. It's not about that. It's about over the long period of time. So a 30-day window, a 90-day window, a 12-month window. Yeah. Now, what does that extra $10 a cut, extra $7 a cut look like? Now you're really starting to talk about some numbers. And this is how, guys, that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed in terms of the guys who visually that we've seen, because obviously we prospect for barbers and barbershop owners, and we obviously work with them too. The biggest thing that I've seen, which I don't think I've mentioned this in one of our meetings. I've mentioned some of the other things, like, oh, this guy has like a watch and he's got a nice car and stuff like that. And you can definitely tell that he's very successful as a barber. The one thing that I didn't mention too is that I've very, very much, it's very apparent to me that when I see just regular barbers that we may follow or follow us or whatever, or that we have conversations with, and I look at their Booksy, it's always pretty much Booksy. And I look at the pricing. It's always haircut is this, kids cut is this. The difference that I've seen is guys who are either have a big brand or are very successful, clearly, services pieced out. Beard trim or just a trim or, adult haircut and all these different services. I've noticed that very, very, very frequently when it comes to, like, I can definitely tell that this guy's a different level of barber.
Yep.
And he's piecing out his services, he or she, I'll say.
Great point.
Versus the guys who are just, yep, this is my cut here for adult, this is for kids. And those are the two services listed on your Booksy.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of guys are going wrong.
I've noticed that
those are things that guys are looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Imagine this. Every chair in your barbershop filled, every client returning, and every new review being replied to, boosting your shop to the top of search results. Because as you know, empty chairs do not pay the bills. And that's where Automated Barbershop comes in. The all-in-one system that keeps your clients coming back with automated reminders, built-in business growth, review requests, and so much more, so you can focus on the fades and not the follow-ups. It's like having a personal assistant working inside of your business 24/7. There's no tech headaches, no marketing degree required, just more clients and less stress. Plus, it integrates with your favorite booking system and takes just 10 minutes per day, so you can have less hassle and more revenue. So get involved with the future of barbershops and watch your shop and your career grow to a new level. Let our team install the Automated Barbershop system into your business in less than 72 hours by clicking the link in the description.
Yeah. And it's like, there's a reason they do that.
Yeah.
It's because, one, it makes them more money, but two, their clients will pay for it.
Yeah.
And so if you're charging the same price for OG when I walk into the shop for a 2 on the top and 1 on the side, and you're charging the same price for the guy that you're doing like a low taper fade and some other crazy shit,
and all this
beard,
shit,
that's a big problem.
Yeah, you're losing out on money. The client doesn't care, but you're losing out on opportunity costs.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention, because I know that upselling products or merch in the chair can feel weird, or even putting the idea in someone's head to get something different or to buy another, to add on another service next time. Here's how you do it, because Kaleb and I both individually have had a lot of success in sales, like in actual sales roles outside of what we're doing now. I was going to say prospect because that's just so in my head, but get the client to say yes. So for example, if you're using a product that you're selling at the shop on a client, ask them, hey, how do you like this product? what do you like about this product?
Yeah.
Get them to explain why they like it. And then that's a great way to be like, oh, bro, this is like $18. Instead of having this in your hair twice a month, have it in your hair every day. It's $18.
Yeah.
It'll last you a month. I love it. I use it every day.
And a big part of that is actually getting, I think that's one of the biggest things, is getting them to like, you're already using it, but using a high quality product. I'm going to take like beard oil, for example, using a undeniably great product that this can almost kind of feel like, for guys who aren't really salesy or like are kind of introverted, let's just say, for example, using a high quality product where they're going to ask you about it. Again, not to say that what Owen's saying, still do what Owen's saying, but also using a high quality product on someone's beard is going to help you get some guys as well to be like, yo, like, what is that? Like, I went home and like, dude, I've never used anything like it. Having great products.
That's a great point.
You know,
because
first, don't just push shit. Yeah, like
that's an excellent caveat, because if it's a shit product, the client will most likely be able to tell. And if you try to push it on them, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? No, I'm not buying this. When you use a quality product, one, you're going to get people asking you about it. Totally.
Yeah.
But when you start to upsell it, you're going to get a lot less sales resistance because they know that the product's good.
Yeah.
And so another way to kind of do that is, like, let's say I come into your barbershop first time, and there's times that I have big ass facial hair. Like, if you see my IG profile picture, I have a huge beard, right? And so, like, let's say I come in as a new client, right? First time I'm in the shop, and you use a beard oil on me. Don't push it the first time. Make a note, say, hey, used X product on Owen, first time client, try to upsell next time. So that gives you the key when I come back in 3 weeks. Hey, how did you like that beard oil?
Yeah.
It's always be selling, always be in a selling mindset, because it's only going to help you. And if you're using high quality products and your service standard has been raised, people will not feel bad buying it. Because guess what? There's a lot of people who have never been in sales who view salesmen as kind of the worst aspects of salesmen. Like, they're pushy, they hard sell, they're trying to con you into buying something. But when you've been in sales like Kaleb and I have, you realize when you're selling a good product or service that people trust salesmen. And so if you do the standard, if you have a high quality product, they will trust you. And it's even better because they don't view you as a salesman. They view you as your barber, or pardon me, as their barber. So and I know it's going to feel weird the first couple dozen times you do it, because you're not a salesman, and there's a good chance that you don't have sales experience, which is fine. I don't care. That's cool. But just know that there's nothing wrong with asking someone to buy something that they like. Yeah. And there's a chance that they might not even know that you sell that product in store.
Yeah, it could be an affiliate product too. And a tactic I want to give guys too, that because some guys are going to be like, dude, like, I don't want to sell guys. That's fine, right? We're not even telling you to become salesmen, to Owen's point. A tactic I want to give you guys is what Owen and I really like is conversational sales.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that you can do, the number one tactic that I'll say, especially that I use, Owen knows this, he's listened to my calls, is just ask questions.
Yeah.
Right? Do what you guys are already good at. You guys are already good at asking questions and having conversations with people. Just keep doing that, but add different questions. For example, let's say Owen's in my chair, right? Owen, appreciate you coming in. What are you in for today? Boom, boom, boom. I'm not going to come off the bat asking my kind of quote unquote sales like questions.
Yeah.
But through a conversation, getting to know him and whatever, now I'm going to ask him, hey, do you, I guess, like, normally keep a a beard? Like, do you keep it grown out?
Mm.
Cool. I guess, what are you using on it to like do some upkeep, or what are you doing for upkeep? I'm having a conversation. After that, I might actually pull back and have a conversation about something
and
else.
not offer the product. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I'm not, to Owen's point, I'm not pushing this product down your throat, because at the end of the day, I am a barber. I'm here and I'm doing what I already do normally. I'm having a conversation. I'm asking questions. I'm just throwing in questions that's going to start kind of plugging your mind with certain piece of information. That's the one thing that I will tell guys too about sales, is that a great sales conversation is getting the prospect to go to an end destination that you want without them kind of seeing it coming, right? Like when you go to a car lot, right? You can kind of know, like, when the average car salesman, what direction he's taking this to you. He wants you to get in this car. He wants you to go to the finance department, blah, 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 blah. But great salesmen are just having a conversation with you. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't even know how we got here. Like,
Yeah.
And now I want to buy this product. That's the idea that you want. And the way to get there is to just ask questions, weave it in and out of your normal conversation with people. And then what I like is I just casually, Owen knows, especially with automated barbershop, I just casually take the calls that come in, and I'm not pushing it down your throat, because back to the superior product. I know that our product, our service, our platform is one of a kind. It's probably going to be the best on the market pretty soon in terms of what it's offered. So I don't have to sit here and hound it down your throat. All I have to do is come onto the call, ask you questions, see what you're currently doing, see what the problems that you're having, right? And then it's going to just, you already know it's there, right? So be conversational, be casual, don't shove it down people's throats, and just ask questions. Ask the right questions, weave them in and out. And that's the tactic I want to give guys too, because again, they might not be salesmen, but some guys might have some pushback in terms of like
wanting to do
how do I even go about this?
Feeling like comfortable doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an actionable way to actually implement that without feeling like, dude, I'm just the slimy salesman.
Yeah, exactly. And the last point I have on pricing, because pricing is so unique to who you are, where you are, and what type of experience your clients have. So that's why we're not going crazy deep, because we can't, because we don't know you.
Yeah.
The last kind of 2 points I want to make. The first one is, and Kaleb kind of hit on this, but I want to make it very clear. You should not be making a price increase of $20, $30. Like, you should not be going from 30 to 60. At most, you should be raising your prices $15. Yeah. Even then, it's a stretch. And the reason for that is every single time you raise your prices, you are going to lose clients. Point blank period, it will happen. The problem with making the large jumps is, instead of like a 10 to 15% churn, you could see a 60 to 70% churn. Because there's no way, if you're offering a $30 haircut, the clients that you are currently attracting are willing to pay 100% of them are willing to pay $60. I would even say 50% of them aren't willing to pay $60. So where that's helpful to you, especially if you have very full books. When you have full books and you're being booked out, that's a good key for you to be like, okay, it's time to raise my prices. Not when it's like, oh, I can still add 5 cuts a day. I'm going to raise my prices because I want to make more money. No. When you're booked out for like a week, 2 weeks at a time, that's when you raise your prices, because that allows you to open up your books and attract a different level of client. So
that's a really good point.
It's and as Kaleb said, this is a long-term thought process, because everything as a barber or a barbershop owner is all about lifetime value of your clients. So if you're, let's say, at $35 and you go to 45, you are going to have client churn. And for a short window of time, it will hurt, because you're used to making X amount of money, you're always having someone in the chair. And instead of taking the ego hit of being like, oh, damn, I lost 15% of my clients because I raised my prices, look at it as an opportunity to attract a higher level of client that's willing to add services on, willing to purchase products, willing to purchase merch, someone who might be coming in as a every other week regular instead of someone that's 3 to 5 weeks, right? So that's where it's also a mindset thing of raising your prices and losing clients is not scary because you're not losing clients most likely if you're doing this correctly based off the principle of you losing prices. It has nothing to do with you. It's all on the client not being willing to pay that price. So if you've raised your standards, if you are booked out and you raise your price, it's an excellent opportunity to fill your books with new people that will make you more money.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think too, one thing that just really hit me when you were going over that was tying in the price increase with improvements in your client experience.
Yeah.
So now when someone comes into the shop, or even if you're an individual barber, and how does that person, this is one thing that I've told barbers individually, and we tell shop owners, try to put yourself in the customer's mindset in terms of what happens when they walk into the shop, what happens when they're trying to book an appointment, right? For me, if I'm a consumer and I have to go to your Instagram every time just to even get to your Booksy link, or even to book an appointment, I have to message you on Instagram and go back and forth and all that. That's a hassle.
Yeah.
Let's say that I'm going to
implement.
Right. That's also not a $50 experience. But aside from that too, let's say now I implement, let's just say, a custom booking link with an actual bookable calendar, right? That guys don't have to go to my Instagram. They don't have to go to like my DMs, right? Just to get an appointment. Now that can kind of coincide with a price increase of $5 because the consumer's able to grasp even without you telling them. You can obviously tell them if you want to, but my point being is whether it's a booking app, whether it's a refined booking process, whether it's when they come into the shop and now there's a tablet that they can check in and there's screens with the wait times on the TV screens, right? Now, when a customer sees this and they haven't been seeing it before, this is more for your because of course your first time customers, when you increase prices, they're not going to know any different. Yeah. But for people who have been coming to your chair, coming to your shop, and you increase prices, this is a great opportunity to implement some of those more noticeable changes for your client experience. So now they can kind of and it makes sense because to them, they've been getting XYZ cut. No matter what, it's not going to make sense for some people, but subconsciously, some guys are not going to be able to understand if you just raise your price. Most people are not going to be able to comprehend like that. It doesn't make sense. I'm getting the exact same service and nothing has changed versus now if I can visually see, wow, there's wait times on the TV screen. There's a whole new tablet section. I don't have to write my name on a piece of paper because that's been a common thread that I've seen and experienced myself. The booking process is better. Oh, they have a website.
They
have their own booking app. Yeah. Right. It makes sense why my price has gone up $5, $10, $15. So that's a little bit easier way to kind of ease the churn rate. Again, you're not going to eliminate it, to Owen's point. It's never going to be 100% that stay aboard, as it never is with any business when you make changes. But it makes more sense and it kind of eases that transition for people because they're able to grasp to something in their mind that, wow, this actually makes sense. And I actually appreciate this, even if it's something as simple as, let's just say, better mirrors in the shop, right? Or better chairs or better equipment or better lighting, whatever the case it might be, or even a renovation of the shop. I don't really give a shit what it is, but attach something visually that somebody can grasp their mind onto that makes it make sense.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. So hopefully, even though when you clicked on this episode, you might have been looking for, what's the best price to charge for my haircut?
The best price?
It's never going to be like that. But at least you now have a strategy and a mindset in terms of how you should be raising prices. Not because your buddy is like, oh, I just raised my price to $50 and you feel that you have to be on the same, like, no, that's dumb. Don't do that.
Inferior.
So you have to think about it as a long-term game. And have a actual strategy in terms of I'm going to add this so then I can increase prices. Not, oh, I'm just going to I just want to increase my prices because I want to make more. That's dumb. And if the world worked like that, that'd be awesome. But that's not how the world works, especially when it comes to barbershops and barbers, because there's great ones everywhere. And there's most likely a great barber who doesn't understand a lot of this stuff that's charging less. So don't.
That's probably going to be the title of this episode. It's
Yeah.
going to be like, newsflash, there's no perfect pricing.
Yeah,
There's no
there's
perfect
not.
price.
It-
because there really isn't.
Yeah.
It's all subjective, and it's I like how you put that. It's about the strategy.
Mhm.
It's about how you go about the pricing, how you go about structuring that, I guess, compensation structure essentially for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. Anything else you want to leave off on?
No, it's just, yeah, it's all about where you're at, what kind of experience you give. Haircut prices are different in Atlanta versus Dubuque, Iowa. Like there's never going to be a perfect
And one thing too, actually, that I want to mention too, that I want to leave people off with is these people that you guys look up to. We've talked a lot about in previous episodes, people that guys look up to that we've noticed a lot. Just check their booking pages.
Yeah.
Check out their service pricing.
See how
it's
they
not
set
to
it
say,
up.
right, don't look at the exact number. Look at the discrepancies. Okay, they price out these services. Okay, and they actually add $15 to do this extra. Look at the structure of it. Don't look at this for, oh, XYZ company or XYZ dude, he charges $55 for a cut, and that's exactly the price I need to be at. No, you need to look at how he or she structures the pricing to how Owen's mentioned in this episode. That's how you can get the actual insights on how guys are becoming so wildly successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Great point.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. As always, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, our website. At the time of this dropping, the new website's actually probably live too, automatedbarbershop.com. Yeah, so appreciate everyone tuning in. If you guys have questions, feel free to DM us. If there's anything you guys want us to talk about, feel free to message us as well. But with that being said, Owen Granger, Kaleb Rosenberg, we'll catch y'all next week.
See you.